Ciao, bella gente. Come state? I can't sit behind a desk because I'm not a teacher. So this is not a class, okay? I'm not a preacher. I'm a reacher. You know what it means to reach? Who's the translator here? Everybody speaks English? Okay, so I'm a reacher, not a preacher, not a teacher. I'm trying to do the same things you're trying to do, except we're at different stages in our reaching, in our development. But we're all in the same boat together. So I have nothing to teach. I have nothing to say. I have no speech. I made no preparation. I did nothing. Hello, how are you? You good? What's his name? Hector? Hector. Bravo. Welcome. Hector. Excuse my bad Italian because my English is worse. So I have to pretend I speak English. And I lost my voice last night because we watched Cacciatore in the rain the whole night. The projection was beautiful, the sound was beautiful, but the rain was terrible. And it was cold. And some very kind gentleman from a restaurant came out and gave me a blanket. But when I woke up this morning, I couldn't speak. So now I had some soup, some echinacea, I don't know how you say in Italian, but for the throat. And now I'm here with a cracked voice. So what can I possibly say to you? What? You want me to sing or dance? I love you, baby, and everything's all right. I need you, baby. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I want to hold you so much. It depends.
Aha, thank you. Well, we'll give it a go and see how you feel about it.
Give it a go.
All right, I believe you've got a room in your house that is stacked to the ceiling with stuff that you've written. And I wondered what keeps you writing, because you've got so many scripts.
Only the Lord knows, not I. But, and that room at one time was very neat. Everything was in piles, very organized. But as you know, in the wonderful state of California, we have a thing called earthquakes. And after years of many earthquakes, this very neat room of files and piles of screenplays is now a mountain. It's a confused mess. So it's very difficult for me to find anything when I want to. It takes me hours to find one script. But yes. And I keep the room closed because I can't bear to look at it.
And perhaps we can talk, Michael, a little bit about Visconti. Yesterday on the Piazza, you pay tribute to Visconti, Il Gattopardo. Il Gattopardo was screened last year, also on the Piazza Grande. You said you didn't learn cinema by attending a film school. Did you learn cinema by watching movies on Il Gattopardo again and again, perhaps?
I have no idea of how I learned cinema because I didn't study cinema. I didn't go to film school. I didn't learn how to write. I was on a different path. I was training to be, all of my background is in painting and architecture, not movies. So I don't know movies in the way that certain filmmakers know movies. I mean, for example, my friend Quentin Tarantino wonderful, wonderful man. He grew up managing a video store. So Quentin knows every movie that's ever been made. He knows every line of dialogue from every movie. He can make a quotation. I can't do that. So I wish I could, but I can't. So I'm not a cinephile in that sense. I'm a frustrated would-be architect who stumbled into this lunatic business of making movies, which is a kind of from architecture is a controlled environment, calm, organized. Movies is a controlled anarchy. You understand the word, anarchy. Chaos. It's a bloody enterprise. And I don't know why I made the turning in the road that I was on. It's still a mystery to me, and I wonder all the time why I did what I did, why I departed from my area of study, and I went into this insane prospect of making movies, you know? And, but I did, like it or not, and here I am. I don't know how I got here. I think I came on some strange asteroid from space, some comet, boom, and I landed in Locarno, and I have no idea what to say.
We can perhaps begin to speak about your first feature, Thunderbolt on Lightfoot, which will be screened tomorrow on Friday, I think. When you met Clint Eastwood for the first time for the role, he said, okay, I will do the film, but first you have to rewrite for me the script of Magnum Force, which was beginning by John Milius. So was it a big challenge for you as a young filmmaker to have to rewrite a script for Eastwood before to be able to direct him in a movie?
Well, I was extremely, extremely, extremely fortunate, very, very lucky, which never happens, to work with Clint Eastwood. I went to Hollywood. I had been going to California because I was in the business of shooting commercials, mostly beautiful women and beautiful cars. And I think that's one of the reasons I took this road, because of all the beautiful women and the beautiful cars. I love cars and I love women. And so there's opportunity to have both. But when I made this crazy suicidal turn off the road I was on, my longtime associate and producer, Giovanna, is her real name, but she insists on Joanne, which I don't like, is the Americanized version of Giovanna. She said to me, Michael, I loved the people in California, not the movie people. I loved the people I knew, both the boys and the girls. Everybody was racing motorcycles, dirt bikes, everybody was sailing, everybody was surfing, everybody was riding horses, everybody was flying airplanes. And I loved this life. I loved flying to the desert and circling the plains at night and having a steak fry in the desert. I loved flying to Mexico. I loved all of these things, racing motorcycles. And I loved California. So finally, when I decided to go there, Corelli said to me, Michael, there's only going to be one way you ever get to make a movie. So I said, what is that? So she said, presciently, she said, you are going to have to write a screenplay, and you're going to have to get the biggest star in Hollywood to agree to do it, and if he says yes, you'll make a movie. I said, otherwise what? She said, otherwise you're not going to do anything. So I said, but I don't know how to write. I've never written anything. She said, you better learn very fast. We had a rented house, and I took one bedroom, I made an office, put a little desk, and It belonged to an old Hollywood director. He was renting the house. And I made the mistake one day of opening the closet in the bedroom, and a whole mountain of scripts fell on me. He had so many scripts that he had accumulated over his life in Hollywood, and they fell on me like a mountain. And it frightened me. I thought, so many scripts, I can't believe it. In any case, I sat down, and I began to write. And I just began to write about people I knew about, and situations I knew about. And that's the way I write today. I can't write unless I have the characters. Everything I do is character-driven. And I think, in fact, the best fiction in movies and in literature, particularly in literature, always comes from the characters. I mean, what you remember about Anna Karenina. In America, we mispronounce it. We say Anna Karenina, which is incorrect, as you know. But what you remember about Anna Karenina is Anna and what she does. What you remember about Bovary, Flaubert's wonderful Bovary, you remember Emma. You don't remember anything else. You always remember the cat. What you remember about, what do you remember about, for example, Gone with the Wind? Somebody. Huh? Brett, right. Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara. Huh? You don't remember even that it's about the Civil War. You forget. So it's all about character. So at least I had the sense from within to start with characters that I knew. In fact, after the film came out, a New York critic invited me to his home in New York City. He said, "Michael, how did you come up with all these crazy ideas in this movie?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, how did you dream up the sequence where all the white rabbits come out of the trunk?" I said, "It's somebody I knew did that." He said, "Somebody you knew did that?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I can't believe it." I said, "Well, believe it, it's true." I said, everything you see comes from something in real life. And I believe that the best movies come from reality. They don't come from watching other movies. There's too many people who make movies today. Before they start to make a movie, they look at other movies. And then they try to find scenes that they like. They look at Casablanca, they say, "Oh, we should do a scene like this with between Bogart and Bacall." And then they look at a movie like The Dam Busters, and they say, "Oh, we should do a scene like this." And they look at another movie. And before they know it, they have a movie based on an accumulation of ideas taken from other movies. I call those movies Xerox movies because they're not true. They're an accumulation of other things that have already been done. And so they age very quickly. That's why so often when you see a Hollywood movie and then you look at it 2 years later, it looks ancient, it looks very old, it looks very dated. And that's because it's not based on any truth. It's not based on real people, real characters, real situations. You follow? Everybody, comprende?
Here's your cappuccino. You have your cappuccino, so.
Oh, yes, okay. So, I'm talking too much, as usual. No. So, you have to ask the questions now, because otherwise I will keep talking for 2 hours or 3 days. Yeah, but then you'll get hungry, you want to stop and have dinner or breakfast or whatever. And we'll be here all night, and then it will rain on us. It'll be like last night. And we all get sick, and my God, who knows what happens after that. So somebody ask a question, please. What's your name? What?
Let's wait for the microphone.
Where's your microphone? We need a microphone. Somebody give him a
There's
microphone.
one here.
What is your name?
My name is Bruno. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Bruno.
Nice to meet you. I just want to know if you're still in touch with Dave Mansfield, which is a great music
No.
composer. No, at all?
No.
No?
No.
What do you remember about him and working with him, which I think is like great partnership, especially Heaven's Gate?
I liked
music?
his work. Somebody else.
There was a question just in the middle here.
What is your name?
Grazie, Valerio Caprara da Napoli.
Valerio.
Quotidiano del Napoli.
It's a beautiful name.
Grazie. È difficile, è hard. Città
No,
bella ed hard.
no.
Accanto al Pardo d'Onore, a lei, cosa di cui tutti siamo entusiasti, c'è a Locarno una grande retrospettiva su Sam Peckinpah. Vorrei sapere se posso il suo parere su questo regista e la sua
Something
leggenda.
about Sam
Just a few
Peckinpah.
words about Sam Peckinpah, because of the huge retrospective this year here in Locarno. And you met on Heaven's Gate set Sam Peckinpah.
I knew Sam, and we had the same assistant for a while, and he was a wild, crazy, talented man, and I love a lot of his work very much, and very sad what happened to Sam toward the end when he began having trouble making movies. But the early work, especially the movies with Joel McCrea, who was one of the great Western actors, was wonderful. Major Dundee, Ride the High Country, and some of his lines are wonderful. Like the great line from, I think it was Ride the High Country, where it's either Joel McCrea or the other actor says, I just want to enter my house every night and feel justified. It's a great line. And Sam loved the West. And I have a dear friend. My best friends are cowboys. I mean, real cowboys, not Hollywood cowboys. You know, walk around with fake costumes. But the real cowboys who rodeo and compete. And my best friend is a cowboy who still holds several world records for steer roping and calf roping, where you get a gold belt when you're a winner, gold belt buckle. And he was also, his name is Alan Keller. He worked with me on several movies, and he worked with Sam. Sam loved him because Alan was real. He wasn't a Hollywood cowboy. He didn't wear tight leather pants and tight leather pants tucked into boots with tight leather vests like some old-time Hollywood movie stars did, which was ridiculous. I mean, if you tried to wear that gear and work cattle all day, you would die. And so Sam was inspired by people like that. And as I am, I think that he liked people who told the truth. For example, Mr. Keller, Alan Keller, if you make an appointment with Alan, let's say for 3 o'clock or 12 o'clock, to come here at 12 o'clock, and all of you showed up at 5 minutes after 12, Alan would consider that you broke your word because you said you were going to be here at 12, you came 5 minutes late. For him, that wasn't good enough. It had to be perfect. And that's the way he competed in rodeo. That's why he was such a great champion. He was a perfectionist, and he still is. He still is. And he still has wonderful stories of Sam. Much better stories than I have.
Perhaps another question in the audience?
Il mio è uguale.
What is your name?
Teresa.
What is
Ciao,
your
Michael.
last name?
Parlo italiano, Michael? Ok, hai appena parlato di personaggi, però i tuoi personaggi vivono delle storie che hai scelto in momenti molto particolari per ogni tuo film. Cosa potresti raccontarci di queste storie, dei film che hai sviluppato, che hai fatto, e poi quali sarebbero le storie che oggi tu potresti raccontare, prego.
I'm trying. She told me to keep things short. I talk too much. So I'm sorry. Maybe we have to go past 1 hour, I think. So excuse me if I talk too much. It's my tendency, it's my weakness to talk too much. I think if you look inside of yourself, I like that you're laughing. I think if you look inside of yourself and you look deep enough, you always find new characters. They're there waiting for you. You just have to let them into your heart. And they're the characters that inspire you. I'm not inspired by an idea. I don't proceed from an idea, oh, I want to make a film about climate change. No. I don't want to make a film about politics, who's this, who's that. Doesn't interest me. But a man who wants to conquer the world, to me, okay, let me think about this guy. And then let me find some equivalent. Let me find something within myself which I can connect in some way. I think writing is much more difficult than directing. You have to have a lot of courage. For one thing, you work alone. When you make a film, you have 350 people behind you. You have trucks, and you have caterers, and they bring you sandwiches, they bring you cappuccino, they bring you water, they bring you everything you need. But when you're writing, you're alone. You have a pencil and a pad and a paper. Maybe you have a computer. I prefer a pad and a pencil and a paper. It's more primitive, but it's easier. Easier to make notes. Now I'm lost. I forgot where I was going. You have to help me out. Yes, and it's very hard to be truthful with yourself. It's very, very difficult. It's a big struggle to be truthful. I mean, you're always on the verge of slipping into an idea rather than a truth. You're always on the verge of slipping into a cliche instead of the truth. You're always on the verge of a cliche instead of the truth. The answer is always in the truth. And that is the search. That is the work when you write. And I didn't learn this in any school, as I said. I just had to learn it by doing. I think the best way, by the way, and probably I'm talking too long, but I think the best way for anyone who aspires to make movies, to write or to direct or to do both, even a producer, the best way and the cheapest way, the most inexpensive way to learn is to study acting. Which may sound strange to people who don't want to be actors, but studying acting helps you be a better writer, and it helps you be a better director. For one thing, when you're on stage acting with another actor, you learn what you don't need to express with words. You learn the importance of an action as opposed to a sentence. You follow? Say something. Hello? Well, I can't hear you. You don't have your microphone. Where's your microphone? Give her back her microphone.
It's okay.
You understand what
Oui.
I'm saying?
Va bene.
All right, please say something. So, okay, what's the other question?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Cimino, my name is Roberta,
Roberta,
and I will just follow up on her question. So you said that you're mainly
are you
inspired
American?
by... No, Swiss from Lugano, which is further down south, and half Hungarian. And you just said that you have been mainly inspired...
Please call me Michael. Mr. Cimino scares me because that was my dad's name. I'm Junior. You can call me Michael, you can call me Junior. You say
Okay.
Mr. Cimino, I
Okay,
get
so
chills.
Michael, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. So you just said that your movies have been mainly inspired by characters rather than stories or
Always.
ideals. And since, as you already know, The Deer Hunter has been very important as a movie for my life,
Yes.
I was wondering what characters inspired you there, and if you had had a time machine in the 70s and the chance to come to nowadays, what other characters would you have chosen for The Deer Hunter?
I don't quite understand that question. What do you mean by what other characters would I have chosen?
Other actors,
the
perhaps, or-
circumstances have changed, time has passed, history has moved on, and I'm curious to know
No, but
whether
but what has not changed, and which is even more reinforced today, more pronounced today, is the tragedy of war. Okay?
yeah, sadly so, yeah.
Vietnam was a war of years ago. What is happening in the Middle East is a war of today. The tragedy of and the horrible circumstances under which people are killed and captured and tortured, none of that has changed. Only the place has changed, and some of the weapons are more sophisticated. But the tragedy on people and families, none of that has changed. It's the same. It's been the same throughout history. I never started out to make a war about the Vietnam War. I had no interest in doing that. I have no interest in the politics of that war. Okay? I have feelings about it, but I don't make a movie about politics. I make a movie very simply about what are the effects of trauma, of tragedy on a family. And this group of friends are a family. Because today in America, at least, I don't know about Switzerland or the rest of the world, but today the nuclear family is pretty much gone, the idea of a nuclear family. And people today choose their families. You make your own family out of the friends that you love, and you become a family. Well, this is what you see in Deer Hunter. That's not just a group of friends. They're a family, as close as any family, perhaps closer, because you don't have a brother or sister by accident. You have a brother or sister by choice. They choose to be with each other. They choose to love each other. Now, none of that has changed. The tragedy of war has not changed. The impossibility of coping with the tragedy of war has not changed. Women cry over dead children in the same way. Friends cry over the loss of friends in the same way. What is different? Tell me one thing which is different, and I will give you an answer. If you can tell me what is different, what has changed? Tell me.
Nothing. I agree
Okay,
with you.
you answered your question. Nothing.
Yes. Yes.
So the answer is I would change nothing.
That's a good, excellent answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over there, a question. Just-
Buongiorno, mi chiamo Umberto.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Umberto.
Umberto.
Wonderful Italian name. Umberto.
Io da sempre sono appassionato del lavoro dei caratteristi più che delle star hollywoodiane. Tu hai lavorato con molti di loro e vabbè. Volevo avere un breve ricordo di due, vorrei chiederne tanti, ma almeno due, di attori con i quali tu hai lavorato, tra l'altro nel primo film, George Kennedy e Geoffrey Lewis.
Yes. What about?
Sì, un ricordo.
Just some souvenir recording about those two actors of Thunderbolts.
Well, on Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, it's difficult to speak of because it sounds like a fairy tale. The way the movie came into existence, the way it happened, I mean, I got Clint Eastwood, who was my choice. I got Jeff Bridges, who was my choice. No other actors saw the screenplay. So that was a blessing from God. It was not due to any special power I had. It was a blessing from the heavens. And I chose George Kennedy and Jeffrey Lewis. And one of the reasons I wanted Jeffrey Lewis is that Jeffrey Lewis, up until that movie, had always played bad guys, criminals, killers. And I always love to do the opposite with someone. Usually someone who's played those parts can be very funny. It's just like sometimes you see an enormously overweight person, an actor. Usually those people are the best dancers. They dance beautifully. They're light on their feet. We've seen that in many, 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 many movies. And so often the best criminals make the funniest people. I mean, I knew at the time of my life, I knew many of the New York mafioso from a certain family, one of the families. And I knew many of the hitmen, the killers, the people who killed on contract. And they were the funniest people you would ever want to meet. They love to tell jokes. They love to laugh. They love movies. They love to talk about movies. And you would never expect it. One time I was at a dinner with a group of these people, and one man whose name I will not mention, because most of the people I knew died in jail, but they were joking. Everybody at the table was joking because he had to make a hit. You know what a hit is? Say, you have a microphone? Somebody give him a microphone. Where's the microphone?
He went over there for another question, so...
Give him back the microphone. Mamma mia. You know what a hitman is?
Sorry?
You know what a hitman is, the expression? Killer.
Ma con Geoffrey Lewis?
No.
Sì, un killer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And he had a contract to take out somebody. Take out means to kill. To take out somebody in New Jersey. And he was practicing in his backyard with a bow and arrow. You know bow and arrow? Hello?
Say yes.
Umberto, wake up, please. Pay attention. You know what a bow and arrow is?
Okay. Sì, yeah. I'm not Indian, but yeah.
He's got it. How come he's laughing and you're not? So, you know what a bow and arrow is?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was practicing with a bow and arrow. So someone at the dinner said, why are you practicing with a bow and arrow? He said, I never killed a man with a bow and arrow before. So I wanted to try. I never did it. So I'm practicing. This is the most intelligent man in the group. Next time I write a script, I'm going to put you in it. Okay? Yes.
So we have to give the microphone back over there for a question.
Yes.
Yes. Question.
Good.
Question over there, Michael, from another director, Mr. Leguet.
Hello, my name is Philippe Leguet. Yesterday, I'm here.
Stand up.
Yes, yesterday we shared the Grande Piazza as I was showing my film just before yours, and
Yes.
it was. And I think you bring me luck because it was not raining yesterday evening, so I thank you for that. And you made a wonderful speech about your influences and your tribute to Visconti and Ford and Kurosawa. Sometimes I have the feelings looking at the mountains that we are in a Kurosawa film here, and especially when there's fog in the morning. But my question is that you make a very moving tribute to architecture. And I think for a while you had a project about doing a remake of The Fountainhead. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, I can. Because of my field of study, the hero, when I was very young, was a great, I consider still the greatest American architect, Frank Lloyd Wright. I don't know if you know who he is. You do? Okay. He was an exceptional human being. Not only a great architect, but he was a man of courage and flamboyance, and wonderfully flamboyant. He designed all of his own clothes, for example. He used to love to wear a cape. On his first job in Chicago, Chicago was the home of architectural innovation at a certain period in American history with the development of the skyscraper. And Wright's mentor was a man named Louis Sullivan, who was a great Chicago architect. And Wright used to love to ride to work, to the suburbs, to the city on a horse. No other architect that I know of in the history of America rode to work on a horse. And he lived to a very old age. And there's so many stories about his life, I can't possibly recount them all. There's a book about his life. But he was beloved by Ayn Rand. And the Fountainhead, it has been said, I don't know if it's true, I can't verify it, but it has been said that Ayn Rand based a lot of the character of Howard Rourke, the hero of the Fountainhead, on Wright. And if you know a little bit about Wright's life, you can understand why this is very possibly true. For example, in Hollywood, for the best movie, we give an Academy Award, the gold statue. In architecture, we have what is called the, instead of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, we have an organization called the American Institute of Architects. And every year they give a gold medal to the person they deem the best architect in America. So after years of ignoring Wright, because he was so many radical departures in design, and he was so daring and so unconventional, they ignored him. Finally, they got to a point where they could not ignore him anymore. They had to give it to him. And they gave him the gold medal, and so he went up on the stage to receive it. And this was his acceptance speech. Now imagine somebody in Hollywood doing this when they got the Oscar. He said to all of these architects, if my ideas about architecture are correct, then I am the only architect in the room. And then he walked out. Now, How could Ayn Rand resist that character? There is a wonderful moment. One of the reasons I wanted to make the movie is there's a wonderful moment in the how many people have read The Fountainhead? No, not too many? Well, there's a wonderful moment in The Fountainhead, in the book and in the old movie with Gary Cooper, where the character of Howard Rourke has become impoverished. He can no longer find work, which at one point happened to Wright. And he didn't revive for many, many years, and he didn't revive his career until he was in his early 70s. In fact, he built the Guggenheim Museum in New York at the age of 90. He was an incredible man. And there's a moment in The Fountainhead when this architect has had to close his office, shut off the lights, couldn't pay the electric bill, and he was forced to work in a quarry. You know quarry. In Italian, of course, you know quarry. You take the marble, right, from the ground. Umberto, you paying attention? My friend here gets everything. And he makes me laugh. And he's coming past a building site in New York City. And at that time in New York, whenever they would be putting up a new skyscraper, they would put a wooden fence around the site so nobody would get hurt from the blasting and the construction going on. And the construction company would cut holes, like portholes in a ship, in the walls so that people who pass by could look in and look at the work. And there is a moment, which I think is the quintessential moment of Fountainhead, and in the revision that I did, was Howard Rourke, played by Gary Cooper, is looking through this hole in the fence. He doesn't say one word, but in his eyes you could read the hunger to build, the bottled up passion to be doing this building. It's a terrible moment because here is this incredible talent unable to work. And suddenly he hears a voice and a person says, "Mr. Rourke," and he turns and looks and there's this very dandified man who's in, he's even wearing spats. You know, how do you say spats in Italian? You know, the white covers over shoes. Huh? Okay. You got it? And very, very, very dandified and very full of himself. Very awful person. And he looks at Mr. Rourke, and he's a small man, and Rourke is a big man. And he says, "Mr. Rourke, you don't know me, but my name is," I forgot his name, so-and-so, Archibald, whatever, some silly name. And he said, and Rourke looks at him, doesn't say a word. And he looks at Rourke with absolute contempt. And at this poor, bedraggled man who is dying to work. And he says to him, "You don't know me, but I am the one." Turns out to be the architectural critic, like a film critic. "I am the person who has prevented you from building this building. I am the one who has helped destroy your reputation. I am the reason you are not working today. What do you think of me?" Rourke just looks at him and says, "But I don't think of you."
Another question, perhaps over there.
Hi, my name is Christian. You've said that all of your that your films are character driven and that you don't think of a specific subject such as politics.
No,
But-
ever.
But sometimes, as it happened with Clint Eastwood's films, American Sniper, for example, when they called him a fascist, your films stirred up controversy. For example, Deer
I
Hunter.
was called a fascist too.
I don't know, but at the Berlin Film Festival, the socialist countries withdrew. How do you deal with such reactions? Do you like to step in and defend it, or do you
No, I
leave
don't
it?
defend it because I've been called everything. On my first movie, I was called homophobic. My second movie, I was right-wing fascist. My third movie, I was called a Marxist. My next movie, I was a racist, and on and on and on. So I have the title of everything. You can call me whatever you want. You can say I'm
Call you a
incompetent. I don't care. I have no reaction to it.
And do you read reviews? Do you
No.
look how the response is?
No, I don't read the good ones. I don't read the bad ones. Because what can you?
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Give him back his mic. Do you like music?
Sure,
You like opera?
sure.
You like Pavarotti?
Yes, I like them.
Do you think he read his reviews?
I don't know.
Does anybody
Yes.
think he read his reviews? I don't think so. Why?
Maybe to improve or learn about
Someone
yourself.
is going to tell Pavarotti how to improve? Who could that person be? God? That God would come down from the heavens and say, Luciano, please, when you hit high C above C, you must. No. I don't think so. My man.
Over there, perhaps, outside in front.
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Where are you?
I'm back here.
We need a red flag to wave.
Yes, from the outside.
You know, like in racing, you know.
Yeah.
Come into the pit.
Well, first let me thank you. You're one of the guys. Thanks to them, I landed in the business. You have a lot of passion. I couldn't help but notice you talked about the main character in Fountainhead looking in with hunger in his eyes. And please tell me if this question is too personal.
What?
But you haven't made films for a long time.
Yes.
Did you ever feel the same way?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Bravo. The man who, like the critic in the Fountainhead, who destroyed Rourke, who tried to destroy Heaven's Gate, he died. He's gone. I'm still here.
Enrico?
Yes. What is your name?
Enrico.
What?
Enrico.
Enrico. Caruso.
No, Ghezzi. I remember very well the moment you are on the top of a Roman palace, perhaps it was an hotel. There is the sound now, near the sound, but the light is wonderful. And you say that your
microphone, I can't hear you too well.
Your life movie. I think it was recorded and shot in 85 or in 95, and you talk something like 5 minutes about the Searchers as the film of your life.
Which one?
The Searchers.
No, I never said that.
It's on print.
Well,
no,
you believe everything you read?
My second. No, his imprint is in.
You can't believe everything in the newspaper.
He's in video. No, he's in video. In a video we shot together.
And I said
yes.
that The Search is the story of my life?
No, not the story. The films that you prefer in your life as a
I would like to see this.
You will see. The end of the question becomes useless because I wanted to know if something shifted in the last 20.
I said I liked The Searches very much, but because I think it was the movie in which probably John Ford made the fullest use of Monument Valley. Monument Valley is a place where some of you may or may not know is a very small part of a Navajo reservation in Arizona, and it has all these marvelous buttes. And it's actually a very small place. But Ford managed to make it emblematic of the entire West. In fact, the opening of The Search is very interesting. You see a doorway, and the whole interior is black of the cabin. And Wayne opens the door and walks out into this brilliant sunlight. And the logo comes up on the screen and says Texas 18 something. And of course, it's not Texas, it's Monument Valley, Arizona. But for Ford, and in fact, the story really took place. The Comanche, the home of the Comanche was Texas. And the last great chief of the Comanche, Quanah Parker, his headquarters was Texas. And the story is taken from an actual incident that happened in Texas. But for him, the West was Monument Valley. And he made Monument Valley emblematic of the American West. And that is a task which is incumbent on everyone who attempts to make a Western, in my opinion. You have to find your West, the West that you feel, well, the place that represents the West for you. I went to Monument Valley when I made my last movie, The Sun Chaser, and I went to visit because I had never actually set foot in the place, and I went, and it is very small. I mean, amazingly small. Ford makes it look immense. And all I did was I made a donation to the Navajo people, and I wrote in the book, you signed a book, and I said, God bless John Ford. But I would never, ever, ever, ever put my camera where John Ford put his camera because it's sacred ground. And thank you. And I believe that. And every movie that's been made in Monument Valley since John Ford has been a failure. Because that place belonged to him. If you believe places, geography, has spirituality, you can understand this. If you don't, it's a very American Indian thing. You know, everything has spirit, even the hail which falls from the sky, the rocks, the trees, the air, everything. Everything has spirit. And the mountains, as every mountain climber knows, if you don't respect the mountain will kill you. Well, it happens in filming. When you're filming a mountain, you might have the most incredible looking mountain, and you have the most beautiful shot, and the sun is behind the mountain, and you have this incredible backlight. And just as you're about to shoot, a cloud comes in front of the sun, destroys your shot. The mountain knows this, and the mountain waits. The mountain is testing you because as a director, you're doing this. All day long, you're looking at your watch because time is money in movies, and you have to be on schedule. So you're looking at your watch, how long should I wait? How long should I wait? Should I settle for a mediocre shot, or should I wait for the great shot? How long should I wait? And the mountain is waiting to see if you have the courage to wait. Huh? You understand? Okay. And when you wait, the courage to wait. Suddenly the mountain says, okay, I reveal my true beauty to you. And then you get your shot. And that's why when I work in the mountains, after a shot, I always say, thank you, mountain. Because the mountain gives me a gift. It gives me the gift of its beauty. You follow? Yes.
My name's Jonah, and
Jonah?
Yes, Jonah. And I wanted to ask you something about the Sicilian.
Yes.
What do you? I mean, it's one of your films that I love the most, and I just would like to hear from you how you approached. How was it filming in Italy, in the places where Visconti shot, and and.
Visconti didn't shoot where I shot.
I mean Sicily as a place as a whole.
Neither did Jeremy when he made Giuliano. Sicily's a big country, and it's one of the most diverse countries culturally of any country in the world. And it bears the same relationship to Italy as Ireland does to England. They're similar, but they're completely different. In Ireland, they have a language, and they don't say Gaelic, they say Irish. And in the north of Ireland, there are counties, Donegal, where the signs are in Irish, and people will only speak to you in Irish. At least this was so maybe 15 years ago. Maybe now it's changed. In Sicily, they speak Sicilian. They don't speak Italian. They speak Sicilian, which is a particular kind of dialect. And shooting there was incredibly, incredibly difficult because the people, for example, if you had a big crowd, about a few thousand people, and you give them lunch, and they come back from lunch, and 5 minutes after that, and then you're doing a period movie, and everybody has a position. They have to go back to their position for the shot that you had to break to make room for lunch. And you have to send all of your assistants around to grab all their plastic bags because everybody has bread, everybody has salami, everybody has something to eat, which they took from the lunch wagon. And you have to go collect all these plastic bags. And they have plenty of water, plenty to drink. And immediately they come back to saying, agua, agua, agua. They want more water, more water. So it's very difficult to deal with the crowd. And very, 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 very hard. But the people, wonderful. They're wonderful as individuals. As crowds, they're difficult. But it's a beautiful, beautiful. And we were there in a year where they had a St. Martin's summer, which is a late summer into the fall. In America, we say Indian summer. In Italy, they say St. Martin's summer. And you can feel the wind coming off the Sahara Desert, the south wind. You can feel it, you can smell it. And because Sicily is so close to Africa, it's quite wonderful in many, many, many ways. It's a very contradictory place. It's been invaded by the Arabs, by the Spanish, by the Normans, by the this, by the that. Nobody has not in antiquity been through Sicily in some way or another. In fact, the leopard, Gattopardo, speaks of that in the famous scene with Fabrizio, Don Fabrizio, and the Chevalier who comes down from the north to convince him to become a part of Parliament. And he explains why he can't, because he's compromised his ties to the old Bourbon regime. And he talks about, very specifically, very knowledgeably, about all of the cross currents that have that have made Sicily what it is. And in fact, I think it's with the Chevalier that he says, he has the line, he said, the Chevalier is leaving, and he says to him, we were the lions, we were the leopards, after us will come the hyenas and the wolves and the jackals, but we were the lions, we were the leopards.
My name is Ulrike Koch.
Huh?
My name is Ulrike Koch.
Ulrike?
Koch. K-O-C-H.
Yes.
And I just want to use this momentum to say 3 thank you to you.
Well, thank you very much.
I have to go to detail. First is, of course, for your films and your great work. Secondly, for your experiences and wonderful stories and wisdom you share with us today, which is very inspiring for me. And the third is very personal, and you may remember, because many years ago at the Taormina Film Festival, you were jury president and you gave the Caribda d'Oro, the Golden Charybdis, to me for the film The Saltman of Tibet. And it was very, very moving for me.
I must come and give you a hug.
Oh my God. Changed my life. It was so important, you know that? And it was also connected to Bernardo.
You did a wonderful, wonderful movie. I love this movie. And you know the story of this movie is that we're in Taormina, and the festival was organized by a very eccentric, crazy guy who everybody in Italy loves. I love him too, but he's also crazy. And they had the list of feature films. Is that him? Is that him? It's Enrico, yeah. Come here. Come here. This is the crazy man of whom I speak. He's in person. Here he is. Mamma mia. Why? Now listen, this is a true story. No, Enrico, stand here. Yeah. Okay, stand here.
Enrico, this is incredible.
No, we're here. And everybody can hear us. And so he had a list of feature films. And on the list of feature films was this lovely woman's documentary about the Salt people of Tibet. Wonderful, wonderful movie, which was about these people in the very high country of Tibet who make a living by gathering salt. And very arduous work. And it was shot all digitally on little cameras. At that time, you were not allowed to film in Tibet. And she smuggled in cameras in her handbag and her pockets. I don't know where she had smuggled them now. But she had cameras everywhere. And she shot the most magnificent close-ups of these great people with the most wonderful faces you can imagine. And these great landscapes. And she told a story which was so beautiful. And when we came to the voting, the jury and the one on the jury who was my ally was Monica Bellucci, beautiful girl, but also smart, very, very smart. I loved her. And we kept saying, what film did you like? Nobody liked any of the feature films. But the only one on the feature film list was this lady's film, The Salt People of Tibet, even though it was a documentary. This crazy person put a documentary on the feature list. So Monica and I said, look, let's make this the winner, because this is the best film. And everybody said, yes, this is a great idea. So we made it the winner. He comes in to say, okay, what is the winner? And we say, the Salt People of Tibet. He got completely crazy. Says, you can't make a documentary the winner of... we said, but Enrico, you have it on the feature film list. It has to be the winner. So then the night came for the presentation at this enormous outdoor theater, amphitheater in Taormina. It's an ancient Greek amphitheater. Because, as I said, everybody's been through Sicily, including the Greeks. And I went up, it was the first time I wore a suit. I had a suit and a tie, and Monica looked at me for the first time. Michael, now you look like a director. And she was wonderful. I love her. I wish I could do a movie with her. And so she and I made the presentation to this lady, and we congratulated her. And then the crazy person runs out after we make the presentation. He has a whole arm, 2 armloads of frames. Overnight, he made an award to every other movie in the festival. Because he was so crazed that we made a documentary, the winner of the festival. And then he proceeded to give an award to every director who was there. This is my story of Taormina and these 2 marvelous people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. She's afraid to talk loud.
Yeah.
He has to speak and whisper. He doesn't want anybody to hear what he has to say.
We just have time for 2 more questions, perhaps one over there.
Why are we
one
doing
over there.
only 2 more questions?
Because we're running out of time, Michael.
What?
Your schedule is-
No. If you have more questions, keep going. I stay all day with you.
Hello, Michael. It's Richard Moe here again. I asked the first question at the beginning,
Yes.
so I hope you can allow me a second
I remember
one.
who you are, Richard. How could I
Absolutely,
forget?
you've got my name. My question is, you had $44 million to spend on Heaven's Gate, or round about that
That's
figure.
not true. It was
Well,
32.
You correct it. How many?
32.
$32 million. Do you think a director can have too much money to spend on his films? And does that give you an added burden of responsibility when you realize so much is resting on one particular movie?
That question has a sinister implication.
No, not at all. I'm just curious.
Yes, it does.
All
Because
right.
you're implying something about me having too much money to spend on a movie. I don't like this
No,
question.
I'm thinking, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
As Shakespeare said, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Thank you.
Speak.
Yeah, okay, Michael, John Mark, probably a Frenchman.
A Frenchman.
Yeah.
Why are you dancing? You happy?
Just a remark. Just a little remark before the question. For us in France,
need to
often
play
we
a
feel
little-
you
a
as a
little
very
Rihanna for
French
you.
filmmaker.
What?
So, many of us in France,
Yes.
we are in good mood with you because there is something very Frenchy in your.
What do you think that is? People tell me I look Chinese. You tell me I look French. Do I look Chinese?
My question for you,
What
Michael.
is your question?
I'm sorry to come back again on Deer Hunter.
Why are you sorry?
No, because so much people spoke of it to you. My question is
That's
this
why
one.
we're here, isn't it? For you to ask questions. So
Yeah.
what? You want
For
me to tell you which question to ask?
For me, Deer Hunter
Yes.
was one of the most clear and impressive, I would say, prayer or cantic of peace and against war, because it's the only film where I could believe, I don't know if it's true, that I could be in the skin of a man who comes from war. And while of this, you have, I would say, a divine grace to make, to give the people this feeling about war. And you've done the same also with mafia and so on. But for the war, today, we are in a new era of wars, which are more subtle than Vietnam and so on.
How do you mean more subtle? How is brutality more subtle?
No, more difficult to understand, to feel for the people. Is there any chance?
Every war is difficult to understand.
Yeah.
What war is simple?
No war is simple.
What war is simple? Politically, physically, mentally, spiritually. What war is simple? There is no war is madness.
Yeah.
It's madness. And usually madness created by old men, and young men pay the price. Always throughout history.
Yeah.
Always.
And my question...
I'm sick of old men destroying young people because of their stupid ideas.
Yeah. So, my question is very simple. Is there any chance that you...
No, I have one other thing
make
to
something
say.
on this subject
I
today?
have one more thing to add. Is that any great movie about war, if it's a great movie, is automatically anti-war. Because if it tells the truth about war, you see the madness. How can you say, we want to have more madness? You can't. You have to reject war. You have to reject it.
I agree totally, of course.
It's time to stop the madness all over the world. There's too much, and there's too much coming. What's coming is terrible. What's happening is terrible, and it's all done by old men with white hair. It's terrible. It's time for young people, like they did in Vietnam, to stand up and say, enough, enough. We no longer will die for you. You're stupid, and you have stupid ideas.
Michael,
I'm sorry, I got carried away. Excuse me.
Coming back on the other favorite subject, on Fountainhead.
Yes. What is your name?
Joël Echua.
Joël.
Suppose you get 100 million now to get the film and to do the remake of the film with Gary Cooper. Who will you be your choice for Howard Rourke? And also, I'm curious, since you like Beautiful Woman, for Dominic, his lover. And second question, do you have any film that you didn't make or you renounced in making because you didn't have the right first choice actor, or an actor you would have loved to direct that you didn't?
No, because I'm very lucky as far as actors go. All of the actors that I know want to work with me. And for one reason, someone once asked me this question, Michael, why do your actors not badmouth you? You understand this word. Why did they not speak badly about you? I said, why should they? I said, all I do is work as hard as I can to make them look as good as I can. I try to bring out the best in them. I try to make them look the best they can. I try to get the best performance from them. I kill myself to make them look good. So why should they not want to work with someone whose drive is to make them look good? I don't like this idea of directors as celebrities. I think it's a terrible mistake. I think a director should be invisible. A director's job is to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera like this camera. Right? Say yes. Good. You know, there was a time when nobody knew what John Ford looked like. Nobody knew what Howard Hawks looked like. Nobody knew. Do you know the man Victor Fleming, who made Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz in the same year? Do you know what he looks like? No. So why don't we know who these people are? Because they were under contract to studios. They didn't make a movie every 3 years, every 5 years, every 10 years. They made 3 movies a year. I would have preferred to work then, not now. Now is a pain in the ass. Then it was a job. And you went to work, they said, okay, Michael, Monday you show up, you have Humphrey Bogart, you have Ingrid Bergman, you're on the set, this is the script, start shooting. And you went to work. And there was more productive work done then than now. Now is so much bullshit, we're drowning, like here up to here. It's terrible. It's a terrible waste of human energy. It's a terrible waste of psychic energy. It's a terrible waste of money, of human effort. And there is so many things that are planned and never come to fruition. And it's never because you can't get the actor. It's because you can't get the money. You can't get the backing. That's the reason that stops so many projects. I have a whole closet, a mountain of projects that were stopped, not because of actors not wanting to do them. I've had actors dying to do certain things, but because of certain producers, certain conditions, certain elements of greed, certain elements of misplaced pride. Because of them, the movies didn't get made. Not because of the actors. Never. I have never had that problem that I couldn't get an actor. But I've had a lot of problems with people who are not actors. What? Well, my original choice, and we came very close to getting him. First of all, it was very difficult to do the script. Where's your microphone? Okay.
Just again on Fountainhead, final question.
Yes, you have to hold on to your mic, otherwise they don't know what you're doing.
So Dominique, Monica Bellucci?
No. Sit down. Open your ears. No, it was very difficult to write the screenplay because if you remember the original movie, Dominique is an enigma. She's not explained. You do not understand. You know, for one thing, Ayn Rand never claimed to be a realist. She never claimed that she was making books about real people. Never. So when people criticize her for characters which are bigger than life, it's true. She wanted characters that were bigger than life. She believed in that. She believed in heroes. She believed in capitalism. She believed that people could achieve whatever they were capable to achieve. And Dominique is an enigma because we don't know where this passion she has comes from. We don't understand her entirely. Even though Patricia Neal was such a superb actress, she still played the part and won the Academy. That was her first and only Academy Award, Best Supporting Actress. And Gary Cooper was wonderful. He was one of the genuine movie stars in Hollywood. I mean, he was a wonderful, wonderful man. And, you know, when he was younger, you look at some of his very early movies, he was incredibly handsome, well-dressed, perfectly, and he was a cowboy from Montana. Came from a ranch. And in fact, the little church in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot at the end where they find the money is built on Wolf Creek. And the name of the ranch where Gary Cooper was called Wolf Creek Ranch. So we were on the edge of history. And so what I had to do was, when I did the book, was to create the reasons that made Dominique who she was. And I did that by developing her father, whom we never see in the original. I made a very vivid character. So you understand where this daughter came from, where this strength came from, where this headstrong impulse that she has, where her fascination with powerful men. Her father was a very powerful man. And because of that, you came to understand who and what she is and why she is what she is. This was the biggest challenge in writing. And my first choice was Clint Eastwood. And we gave Clint the script, actually, and he wanted to do it. But he had one reservation, and there's the reason he didn't make the movie. We didn't make the movie, sadly. Had nothing to do with me as director, of course. It had to do with the fact that there's a big scene at the end of the book and at the end of the movie that I wrote, which you may recall if you know the movie. You're taking an awful lot of pictures. Hello, sir? Hello? Why are you taking so many pictures? You should listen more than take pictures. You know, it's very distracting. You're up here talking to somebody. He's a better audience than you are. He's listening. He's not taking pictures. He's listening. He's not taking pictures like you. What? Yes. Thank you for reminding me. You're a good stenographer. So at the end, there's a big trial. And in that trial, there is a very long, impassioned speech that the character of Howard Rourke has to make. And Clint was not known for making long speeches in movies. In fact, the longest speech I think he made up until that point was in Thunderbolt and Life. It was Jeff Bridges, where he talked for a very long time. And he said to me before we began that scene, he said, "Look, Michael, I'll give you as many takes as you want. If you want 100 takes, I'll give you 100 takes." He said, "But if I give you 100 takes, you better not print take 2. He didn't like wasted effort. He wanted you to be sure of what you were doing. In any event, Clint was apprehensive about competing with Gary Cooper. He admired Gary Cooper, as I do, and as the industry did, and in general. He was a very admired actor and movie star, and Clint did not want to be compared to Gary Cooper, and this is why we didn't do it. Otherwise, were it not for that, we would have made the movie. You see what happens when you listen? Somebody speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Ambretta, and I would like to thank you for the beautiful show we are listening to. And I would like to ask you if...
Stand up, I can't see you. You're buried behind this man in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah, take the computer out of your hand. You don't need the computer here. Put the computer down.
Okay. Sorry, no,
it's not
I'm
sorry.
writing
Why do you need a computer here?
Because I'm writing an article on your...
About what?
For a daily newspaper.
Oh.
But anyway...
How can you write if you're not listening?
I can do it.
Either you're writing and you're listening. You can't do both. I can't write and listen.
I'm trying it to. Anyway, I wanted to ask
music,
you...
I can listen to music and write, but I
No.
can't listen to somebody speaking.
I wanted to ask you if we will have the chance to see another movie from you, and if you can just say a word about your Italian origins.
My what?
Your family comes from Italy, and from your hometown in Italy.
Is the town of Cimino, north of Rome. There's a small town named Cimino. There's a bank on the Via Veneto called Banco Cimino. There's a mountain called Mount Cimino.
Yes.
I like pasta.
No. No, do you still go there? Do you still
I love Reggiano, Parmigiano. Italian food is my favorite food, and I love Barolo. And I love Fellini. I love Visconti. I love all of the great Italian filmmakers, Antonioni. So many, so many, so many, so many, so many. It's very upsetting to me that Cinecittà and Rome is not a big center of filmmaking now. I made a big speech about this in Rome. I said, you have a duty to resuscitate Rome, to revive Rome as a filmmaking center. I said, you have so many great, De Sica, so many people, and I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but Fellini to Italian culture is important as Pavarotti, as Titian, as Raphael, as Canaletto. I said, you know, film is very young art, only 100 years old, more or less, but is the one art of all the arts which incorporates all of the other arts. It incorporates literature, it incorporates music, it incorporates color, it incorporates everything that all of the other arts, it uses everything. And so finally, at least here in Europe, it's now considered to be an art. And so I think we have a duty to honor the great Italian filmmakers and to encourage filmmaking and film activity in Rome, which was once a great capital of Cinecittà was once, and I tell you a story. You want to hear a story? Or you're going to type on your goddamn computer? Do you want to hear something or you want to write something? Who wants to hear something?
I want to listen to you.
No, you don't. You're writing.
But what you say?
Bah. I tell you, when I was making The Sicilian, I had the very great opportunity of meeting a number of people who work with Luchino Visconti, the great Visconti. And it meant a great deal to me. We did the wardrobe at Umberto Torelli in Rome, in the Prati district, near my favorite restaurant, Matriciano. And it was a big yellow house, which Mastroianni lived on the top floor. I forgot who lived in the middle, and Umberto Torelli lived on the first floor. And he did all of the costumes for Visconti's operas and his movies. And Tosi, of course, was the designer. And when I first arrived to do a fitting for the wardrobe, we went to this big yellow cake in the middle of this region, and this is the only way you could describe it. And I said to my costume designer, who brought me there, who had worked with Visconti on one of his last movies, I said, "Where's Torelli?" He said, "Oh, he never comes to a fitting." I said, "What do you mean he never comes to a fitting?" He says, "He never comes to a fitting, Michael." I said, "Well, who the hell is going to do the fitting?" He says, "These tailors, there's all these men, very somber-looking people with tape measures around them, standing there waiting to do the fitting." I said, "I'm not working with these people. I don't even know who they are." I said, "I want Torelli." He was afraid. He said, "Michael, but he doesn't do this." I said, "You go," and I could hear downstairs that's where all the work was done, the workrooms, and the women were working, and Torelli, he was down there. I said, "You go down and Torelli, I'm not doing anything, I'm leaving unless he comes upstairs and works with me." So finally he went downstairs, and I hear a lot of yelling and swearing and confusion and babble in Italian. Finally I hear the footsteps coming up the stairs. It sounds like it's Torelli. Comes up like the emperor from below. And he gives me the worst sour look you can possibly imagine. And we had the actor there. And he had no way to know how much detail I get into with wardrobe, the fitting of the clothes and the cuffs and the buttonholes and all of the details of tailoring. And at one point, after we began working, the both of us were on the floor with pins in our mouth, and we're getting the cuff exactly right on one of the actors. And all of a sudden, Umberto explodes. He says, "God damn it." He said, "I promised myself when Lucchino died I would never work this hard again." It was the best backhanded compliment I ever got. And then the icing on the cake was Tosi came by, Piero Tosi, who did, of course, all the costumes for the leopard and Gattopardo. And he gave me the most wonderful gift, which hangs in my living room at home. He gave me an original sketch, a watercolor that he did, of Tancredi when they're on the ride to Donna Fugata. Who knows the leopard? You know the movie. So you remember when the family is going to Donna Fugata and Tancredi comes very dashing. The outfit he wears in that scene is the watercolor Tosi gave me, and I framed it. It's in my living room.
So we have just time for
what the question was.
Yeah, it was we have just time. Sorry for our last question. Perhaps someone outside waiting for a long time.
Why are we being rushed? Do we have to go somewhere?
Yeah, I think so.
Why? Where do we have to go?
They're the next group. They're the Q&A for film here.
And what are they going to talk about?
I think about a film in competition in Locarno. So.
Is there? Are they going to have a more interesting?
10 more minutes. 10 minutes?
Let's have a competition. We put them on one side, and we go on one side, and we have a...
10 is okay.
So we have a question from someone far away on the outside, Michael.
Yes,
there.
what is your name?
Hello, I'm Francesco.
Francesco.
Hi, Marco. I want to ask you if you have a new things that you're working on, a new film, a new idea, a new script.
I'm sorry.
If you have a new things that
Always.
Now and
always,
coming,
yes. I never stop.
Okay. Thank you.
Never stop. If you stop, you die.
Thank you.
If you can't write a book, if you can't write a screenplay, write a song. If you can't write a song, sing a song. If you can't sing a song, do a dance.
Can I ask you another question?
If you can't do a dance, write a novel.
Okay. Do you know NLP? NLP?
Who?
Neuro-linguistic program. And in the States, California, they know this from the 70s. Neuro-linguistic program is about how we work as human beings.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
And I don't know how we live as human beings, much less work. It's a mystery to me.
Well, it's instinctive somehow. But this new technology they discover from...
technology is going to teach us how to live?
This is more knowledge they put together.
To teach us to be better human beings?
Yeah. And somehow how to work with our problem, how to know things.
I look forward to this. I'd rather drive a Ferrari.
Okay.
Which I once had and got many tickets. No.
So,
you need the microphone.
Sono sempre
Umberto
Yeah.
again. He's how do you say masochist in Italian? Masochisto.
I want to be an actor to your next movie.
Why?
Oh, because I like your cinema.
That's not a good enough reason.
No, la mia domanda è un'altra. A proposito di ore disperate, la mia curiosità era questa, volevo sapere cosa hai amato e cosa invece non ti è piaciuto dell'originale di Wyler.
It's not so much the original; it's what was done to what was done to the cut of the movie by the studio, which I took. One of the reasons that interested me was to see if a film shot inside of a house could be as fluid, shot as fluidity with as much fluidity as is somebody translating this?
Yes.
Desperate Hours.
Sì, sì, sì.
I wanted to see if you could move indoors with as much fluidity as you moved outdoors. Who's going to translate this?
The translation in
Oh, I'm sorry. So, and so I chose a house, and then I designed the interior myself, so that it was all natural lighting. There was no film lights any place. It was all source lighting. And I designed all of the doorways so the dolly could move in any direction throughout the house. And the center hallway was such that I could put a crane in there and move and dolly with the crane and go into any room that I wanted. So the house was designed for complete fluidity of movement in any direction. And then that was all worked out very well. But then there were problems with. Oh, well, we didn't know when the movie was made about something, I don't know how you translate this, but there was something called the Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know if this is familiar to any of you, but the Stockholm Syndrome is when somebody who is kidnapped begins to identify with the kidnappers, such as Patty Hearst, and then you join the kidnappers. It happens in prisons and wars. It happens all over. And we didn't know about this at that time. And there is a lot of unintentional humor in hostage negotiation. I took special pains to become a hostage negotiator. I took the FBI course, the intensive course with the FBI in Los Angeles for 2 weeks, and I learned it's a terrible, terrible job, and the pressure is unbelievable because you are making a life and death decision. You're surrounded by a team of expert marksmen who are trained with lasers on people, and at any moment you can give the order and they die. And it's up to you as the negotiator to decide when to kill, when not to kill, when to keep negotiating, when. And the examples they give you are terrifying because they're real. And you give the order, they give you one scenario, and then you say, okay, shoot. And then your teacher tells you, okay, you killed everyone. And in real life, what happened is the negotiator kept talking for another 10 minutes, and everybody came out alive. And you completely sweat through your whole body. And you realize the power of life and death that you have in one word: kill. And we didn't know about this kind of thing back in that day. And there's a lot of very, very unintentionally funny dialogue that goes on between the negotiator and the hostage taker. For example, it's very banal, but it's very funny in its very banality. For example, you get up in the morning and you get to negotiate. You have to negotiate on the telephone. You say, "Good morning, Bob. Did you have a nice sleep?" He says, "Yes." This is the man who's got holding your people prisoners, and you say, "Would you like something to eat this morning?" "Yeah, I'm a little hungry." "Okay, well, what would you like? McDonald's or some coffee or a sandwich or a donut? What would you like?" "I don't know. Get me something different." "Okay, I get your Subway sandwich." And there's this insanity, this insane, banal dialogue, which often leads to just incredible laughs because it's unintentionally funny and horrifying at the same time. We didn't know about all that when that movie was made, because that movie was made in the 40s. In fact, that movie made Humphrey Bogart a star, because until that movie, Humphrey Bogart was playing little whimpering playboys, society playboys. This is the first time he played a bad guy. And after that, he became the Humphrey Bogart we know and love. What? What?
Io un poco italiano, smeglick Deutsch oder italiano? Italiano. Italiano. Scusa, per foto. Io presento da lei film prima volta in Polonia, anni 70-80. Deer Hunter sin permesso di censura. No. Heaven's Gates, eccetera. Noi siamo affascinati del cinema da lei in Polonia in questo tempo. Film sono dell'ambasciata americana. Io invito a Polonia Michelangelo Antonioni, primera mondiale, professional reporter, Bertolucci, Lindsay Anderson, Alan Parker, eccetera, eccetera. Lei no, però noi non siamo di $1 per organizzare questo, è tempo comunismo. Io organizzo molte discussioni con molti cineasti del mondo e molto grazie che discussione con lei, spettacolo da lei oggi è il più meraviglioso di tutti, grandi cineasti del mondo.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sonia. I was just
Sonia?
Yeah.
Oh, what did you, are you Italian?
I'm
No.
French, French actress and Swiss also, two nationalities.
You can't be Italian if you have a name like Sonia.
I'm Russian origin, very, very far away.
Russian?
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, thank you.
Nastrovia.
Spasibo. Allora, one little question about when you are inspired to write your script. Do you have already in your mind the dialogue, or you see that later? Your dialogue.
No, the dialogue comes from. How can you have the dialogue in your head before you have the characters moving around? I mean, that's like saying, I have the words my baby is going to speak before I have my baby. He can't speak until he comes out of the womb.
No, I just meant
So-
all together, all together.
I'm saying all together.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So that the baby must be born the baby must move around
Yeah.
before the baby can make a sound.
Sure.
Okay. You can't have the sound of a baby in your head before the baby comes out. So the baby has to come on the paper before the baby can say something. The character must be alive before he can speak. You can't speak if you're dead. You can't speak if you're not created yet. So the creation has to precede the dialogue. You follow?
Yeah, sure.
You look puzzled.
No, because maybe I'm a little bit misunderstood.
Because how do you think you're misunderstood?
I don't know, because sometimes you hear some phrases around, and
Because sometimes stupid people are making these phrases.
yeah, but sometimes those phrases are really, really like a real movie. You know what I mean? The importance of the words, also. You know what I mean?
Words are words, okay?
Mm.
It's not a question of words. It's a question of who's using the words
Yeah.
and how they're using the
Yeah,
words.
that's what I mean.
Shakespeare used English,
Mm.
and somebody who works on the docks in England speaks English,
Mm.
but it's a different kind of English, a different kind of words. A poet doesn't uses the same words as a novelist, but he uses them in a different way than a novelist. Prose and poetry are two different art forms. And movies are too. And the theater is yet another one.
Yeah.
And literature, so you have books, you have plays, you have screenplays, you have, each one is a different form of writing.
Sure.
You
Thank-
still look puzzled.
No.
I can't help this woman.
No, thank you. It's okay.
It's okay, what's okay?
To hear about your experience.
What?
To listen to your experience.
Listen to my experience.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of things.
What
you
do you
never
wanna listen
stop.
to?
You never stop. You're doing a lot of things. That's very positive. Very
heartbeat.
dynamic.
It's my heartbeat.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Who
my name
is something?
Andrea.
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 You Italian or Greek?
Italian.
Ah.
I'm poor like a Greek, but I'm Italian.
You what like a Greek?
But no, I ask you.
Yes.
What is for you?
Who else would you like to ask?
The American dream for you. The American dream. What is? You believe in the American dream or not? Your opinion about the American dream exists?
Of course.
Of course.
Why does everybody want to come? Why do people come across the border? Hundreds of thousands every month. Why? Why are people coming to Italy from Africa? Why? It's a dream. Why are people trying to get into England? A dream. Everybody has dreams. Everybody. If you don't have a dream, something's wrong with you. It's a question, do you have the courage? Do you have the energy? Do you have the strength? Do you have the idea to make your dream a possibility? You must have a dream. If you don't have a dream, you can't be alive. You have a dream?
Yes.
What is it?
Is make a romance, a
Make-
great romance.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
You mean for real or right?
Not. I hope that a million person read the book.
Oh, so you want to write?
Right. Yes.
Ah. Are you a writer?
I'm a journalist, but I also write.
Ah, journalist, very dangerous. Journalism is not writing.
It depends.
No, journalism is words, often carelessly used and strung together with ill meanings, and not a very good understanding of vocabulary.
So next life.
No, this
No.
life. You
In
just
this
have
life?
to change.
Ah,
You
okay,
have to
I can change. Okay,
You
I
have
can
to
change.
stop this journalism nonsense and start writing for real.
I have a new dream.
Write real things.
Yes.
Journalism is fiction.
Okay.
Bad fiction. You need to write good fiction.
Yes.
You
It's
agree?
here.
So
It's
make
here.
a promise you're going to write good fiction.
Okay.
And give up bad journalism.
No bad journalism. Okay.
You
I
promise?
change. I promise you.
Okay. Ah, somebody outside.
I'm off the territory.
You're off the territory. You're an immigrant. You're
Yes.
trying to cross the border.
I'm right on the border.
So jump across the border. There you go. See?
I'm fully here now.
Now you're here.
Okay, thanks.
What does an immigrant want to say?
Yeah. I think that might be a good point that you're saying the immigrant thing. But what I was going to ask you is, because I think you have great people skills and great perceptive skills, and I thought perhaps you have a key answer for me. How do you deal with a competitive environment, competitive people, a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of ego that is fighting? Because filmmaking is like a magnet, right? So it draws a lot of people with good intentions, bad intentions. How do you find your place? How do you go ahead? How do you deal with these people?
You have to do the same thing people do in football. People are always aggressing. People are trying to kill you. So what do? What can you do? There's only one thing to do. You have to be more aggressive. You have to fight harder. You have to have willpower. In American football, they come to kill you. They're trying to cripple you. So what can you do? You have to be stronger, tougher, smarter, faster. That's what you have to do. You have to do everything better than those people who are trying to kill you. You want to compete with tough people, you have to be tougher. The world is a big, tough place. It always was, always will be. In order to succeed, you have to be tough. You want to write a romance? You better work very hard, because a lot of people have written a lot of great romances. So you have a lot of competition. You have hard work ahead, very hard work. You have to sit your ass down on a chair 8 hours a day and work. It's tough. It's tough. The only way to deal with it is to be tougher, stronger, spiritually stronger.
But you're nice at the same time. So how do you do that?
I have a split personality. Now, I'm just pretending to be nice now. But you're welcome to stay in this country.
Thanks.
We welcome you.
Thanks.
Another last question.
Hello, my name is Nicolas.
What is your last name?
Vielet. I'm from France.
Yes.
And well, nowadays, American directors who have trouble to work in the United States,
yes,
are finding producers in Europe.
Yes.
I'm thinking like Brian De Palma or Abel Ferrara. Is it something that you could do, working?
Of course.
And do you?
I think today, more than ever, it's possible to secure the means of financing a movie from all over the world, not just the U.S. And in fact, the major studios in the U.S., you know, the majority of the films that they distribute are not made by them. You know, they spend maybe $100 or $200 million to make Mission Impossible. And then That's just to make the movie. Then they spend another $200 million to advertise and promote the movie. That's $400 million. That's almost $500 million. Now, when you spend that much money, your whole budget is gone. So how do you make more movies? You don't. You buy them. You go around the world, and that's why Cannes is a business. Cannes is a marketplace. People go to find movies, to buy movies, because they can't afford to make them, because they spend all their money to make a Spider-Man or a big blockbuster movie. There's no money left for average movies. So, yes, the financing is now becoming increasingly a worldwide phenomenon.
And so, do you have any opportunities for making new movies, like with European?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
If you are, I'm asking if you have a new project, and with, I mean, European producers. Sorry. Is it? Sorry.
It's okay, take your time. Don't.
En français, je peux. C'est pour savoir si vous aviez comme projet, si vous avez eu des contacts avec des producteurs européens justement pour faire un prochain film.
Yes.
Anything concrete, or will you do?
In movies, nothing is concrete.
You're right.
So they're throwing me out.
Yes, I think this time it's really the end. Sorry.
So I'm going to go home.
Wait. 1 second. We're going to do a photograph with the man in the wheelchair first. Step back, please. We're going to do a photograph over here, please. 1 second.
Oh, really? I didn't